I just love Trump. That's my boy. When you hear about slavery for 400 years, that sounds like a choice.
But how do we get here? Well, a combination of opiate addiction,
I was drugged out. I was on opioids.
Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, and a megalomaniac mistaking free thought for logical thought got us here. I got receipts.
400 years of slavery, Jim Crow, which, by the way, none of you guys lived through. Your grandparents did, and it's embarrassing that you utilize their history.
Imagine being the person who would tell Martin Luther King he's being whiny about segregation and Jim Crow because black lives are much better now since slavery was abolished. You're imagining racism, Dr. King. Here, take the red pill. But before we talk about that, let me quickly tell you why this even matters. Kanye West is a thought and culture leader with a massive audience of admirers and haters alike, and his statements, no matter how manic sounding, have more significant impact on the culture than 1,000 New York Times op-eds. Kanye, unlike the sheltered intellectuals at the New York Times, has a direct pipeline to young and malleable minds and a fan base that already resembles a friggin' cult.
Oh, this line is going all the way.
But yeah, given his newfound friendship with the likes of Charlie and Candace of Turning Point USA, arguably racist organization, it's no surprise that Ye concluded that slavery is a choice and that we should have an open line of communication with Nazis. These are talking points born out of the alt-right, aka diet white nationalism with a tint of fountainhead. These are people who desperately try to whitewash white supremacy and then build a false moral equivalency between neo-Nazis and people who are against neo-Nazis. And even if you think Ye is legitimately trying to heal the nation and bring discourse and merge both sides, you can't deny that he's being co-opted by people who have an agenda to spread right-wing drivel. I said Kanye West was red-pilled last week and people thought I was mad, that he was just trying to sell albums. Now, historians have to debunk that slavery is a choice, and Alex Jones is releasing exclusive interviews about Kanye with Kanye's new bestie, Candace Owens. That happened today. So it's not a surprise that yesterday Kanye invoked other classic MAGA tropes like the anti-BLM deflection of, what about black on black violence?
Black people have a tendency to focus and march when a white person kills a black person or wears a hat. But when it's 700 kids being killed in Chicago, it's okay. It's okay for blacks to kill blacks.
It's not okay for blacks to kill blacks, Kanye. No one is saying that. This is textbook conservative whataboutism. If you don't believe me, I got receipts. Here's Fox News talking about how Obama doesn't care about black on black violence.
He has not failed to speak out whenever a black is killed by a white police officer, but has said next to nothing about the continuing slaughter of blacks by other blacks in the streets of Chicago, Baltimore, and other cities.
Now here's Kanye's new bestie invoking that same exact deflection when speaking out against BLM.
That only 16 black men, unarmed black men, are being shot per year. That's how unlikely it is to happen. That's what I'm talking about when I give you that analogy of we're not focusing on the major hole in the ship in our community.
They will pay for somebody's funeral, but they will not pay for somebody's college education.
This is a reductive mischaracterization of movements that seek to help these communities. Movements that address a broad spectrum of issues and not just police brutality. But Candace, you don't choose to cover people doing good because you're out here trying to make a quick buck. You'll mention the issues brought about by systemic marginalization, like you do here.
Some things that I'm actually afraid of are the education system and the prison system. These are two institutions that actually do systematically oppress and disadvantage African Americans and keep us on the cycle of crime and poverty.
But you won't give any context to these issues. So what's up? How did we get to this systemic marginalization? Because according to Kanye, we're imagining all of this, right? We're not free of our mental prisons. We don't need to fund schools in urban areas when we can just use the power of imagination. And now Kanye thinks he's the next Nat Turner because he wore a MAGA hat because this lady is red-pilling the fuck out of him. I wonder what Kanye would have to say about Candace Racism Doesn't Exist Owens suing her high school and making it quick 37 racks because racism made her get an eating disorder. But I guess racism exists in Candace's world when you want to make money, but it doesn't when you realize you'll make even more money playing, in your words, Auntie Tom.
You can feel free to call me an Uncle Tom. You can feel free to call me an Auntie Tom. Because I actually read the book, and Uncle Tom was the hero.
But I guess the real hero of this story is Van Lathan, who has a podcast on TMZ called Red Pill, No Relation, who expertly thought what we were all feeling into words and made Kanye look like an absolute asshat.